Welcome back to the Refinement, Not Retirement podcast. Hello, refiners. It's Tony and Christine here again today to talk about something completely different. One great thing about not having jobs anymore is that we have time. We have time to focus on things that really captivate us, fascinate us. Now, regular listeners to this podcast will know that we've spent a lot of time in America, and it's a place that has loomed very large in our lives, both our former work lives and our pleasure lives. And I won't go into that now because we don't have time, but if you want to check back to our life in Southwest Florida, I think we did at least 3 or 4 episodes on that big part of our lives. But we are both, Christine and I, we've enjoyed the time that we spent very much in America. We enjoy being with our American friends. We've enjoyed working with our American friends and colleagues. So I just wanted to frame that and to give you some sort of insight into why we are interested in all things America. But first of all, I'm going to let Christine tell you about what we're going to talk about today and why she's interested in it, and then I'll perhaps tell you a bit about what we're going to talk about. So, Christine, why don't you say hello and cue it up for me?
Hi, everybody. Dun, 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 dun. We're going to be talking today, if anybody can guess, is Trump. Trump. What a surprise, probably people are all thinking. But today is the first day of his criminal trial. Opening, what's the word? Opening statements, is that right, Tony?
Yes, they're dead right. Yep.
We've been following him. Well, I say following him for years. I think when we were in the States, just quickly, I remember you buying a book on him and being fascinated by his book.
I think it was The Art of the Deal. I think it was, yeah.
Yes, I think that's right. And we weren't really around for the first election that he was in, because we'd left by 2014, hadn't we? 2013, yes. 2014. So we've never really involved with the presidency until he suddenly popped back into a lot of people's lives in 2016, which of course was just, well, we never thought of him as a politician, did we? And I'm sure a lot of people don't. We always thought of him as a businessman, a multi-billionaire, a man owning properties and businesses and suing people, I think, a lot of the time around the world. And I remember, just quickly, I'll just throw this in, when we were in London, seeing a couple of very disturbing films made by amateur filmmakers when he came into our country, well, into Scotland, and decided to build a golf course. And that caused a lot of controversy, I think, over the years, and probably still does. So that's where we are. So I'm handing back to you, Tony. It's the probably, I was going to say, the trial of the century, but of course there's a lot of them going on, not just this one today.
Well, it is. You're right. It is being talked about as the trial of the century. The second one, sort of after the big O.J. Simpson trial. Of course, he recently died. We were glued to the O.J. Simpson, weren't we?
We were.
And while we were in America, we did get fascinated. I mean, I've always been fascinated by the law in the UK, and so I found it really great with that background, sort of, being able to actually see televised trials like O.J. Simpson.
Yes,
so
was fascinating.
You're right. We're going to talk about the Trump trial, and it is, from to my mind, it is a momentous time in history. The first criminal trial of a former U.S. president, well, either former or sitting president, starts in New York today. We're going to be glued to it. We've been glued to the last week it was all about the jury selection process and all that. We've been glued to it
That
so
was
far.
amazing. Yes, I
And
couldn't believe it. And of course,
what
can I
we've
just throw in just the
yeah,
time
go on.
differences? Is so this is, I think, very good for listening, important for um, our own country listeners because of the time difference. So here we are, now sitting here talking about it at 11:15 in the morning, which is New York time, 11, 10, 9, like 6:15 in the morning. So
Yeah.
it's kind of frustrating for us in the day because we have to wait all day to see any kind
Well,
of
in a way, that's sort of quite
action.
good because we
It's
can talk
exciting,
about the
yes,
run up to it. It hasn't
that's
actually
true.
started. But
Yeah,
we
exactly.
really, in talking to our sort of English friends about this, they understandably, haven't got the same level of interest that we do, but they are kind of getting more interested as this thing comes more and more into the news. And we thought what we would do is to help people over here, since there isn't that much in-depth media coverage over here of the trial, to sort of understand what's going on from a layman's point of view, because we're laymen and we're not lawyers, but we do have a deep interest in it for the reasons I've described. So today is the first day after the jury has been selected. So there are 12 people who've been selected. That was a rigorous process. Very different to our process over here in the sense that, I mean, they really get grilled and their social media gets trawled by both the prosecution and the defense to smoke out any biases, to make sure there aren't people in here who are heavily biased on one side or the other.
96 people a day they've been looking at, haven't they?
I
Interviewing?
don't know, but it was a huge number of
Yeah,
people that were
96, I think.
called in, and they were grilled and eventually distilled down to the 12 actual jurors, and there are 6 alternates, as they call them there, who are like reserve jurors who can be brought in uh, to sit on the jury as the jury loses actual jurors. I think 6 is the maximum that they're allowed to have as
I think that's
alternates.
right. The other thing I was
And
surprised at was the strikes, which is on both sides. Can you
yeah,
describe what the strikes
so they
mean?
get challenges. So the strikes, they can actually object to a juror as long as it's not on a prohibited basis like race or race or gender, for instance. They can't do it on that basis, but for any other reason, they don't like the look of someone, or maybe they're carrying a newspaper that's or something out of Fox News or something like that that suggests a bias in one direction or the other.
10, isn't
They
it?
can
10
just strike
strikes
them.
each
I think
side?
it's 10 strikes. They both used those strikes. And other than that, I mean, if there is they have unlimited for cause challenges. So that's if there is an actual reason, like they've found on social media that somebody has made a, Trump hating post or a Trump loving post, if it's the other way around, then they can be kicked off on that basis. But anyway, they have the full 12. They have the full 6 reserves. They're undoubtedly, I think, going to need those reserves, some of those reserves, because already from the people that were selected, a couple were lost. I think one woman felt, she got home that night and she felt that people had identified her as a juror, and she just couldn't handle it. So she left, and I can't remember what the other reason was.
I
So,
know
but
there was
I
another. There was
am
a gentleman. I can tell you who he was. He was a gentleman who's a artist, and
okay.
he had been known to do a lot of sketches on Trump
Yeah,
in local papers, and he was um, he was also scared that he would be victimized, emailed, and
yeah,
um,
yeah. Because
yes,
I mean, Trump does have a history of going after people who are against him, like judges. I mean, he'll say some nasty things about judges and their family members, and even their clerks in one case. And so, and certainly witnesses who are going to appear against him. So he's the subject of a gag order because defendants in criminal trials, well, in any trials really, are not allowed to say things that would jeopardize the safety of jurors. They're not allowed
And
to be
hasn't he breached
harassed.
that?
And he's
Hasn't he breached that?
well.
There's a
There's
hearing
an
for that as
allegation.
well.
There's an allegation. There's a hearing tomorrow about that, about him
Right.
breaching the gag order that was made, and that will also be fascinating. So we'll talk about that after that's happened, probably. But just for now, what's going to happen today? So today, that I think the judge is going to decide what Trump can be cross-examined about. This is
Right.
the first part of today, I think, what he can be cross-examined about relating to alleged previous bad behavior. So that will be interesting. Of course, that only will bite if Trump testifies. Now, Trump says he's going to testify, but he said that in previous trials, civil trials, and then didn't do so.
Guess it's a
And it
risk
is, and
if
it's
you say you'll testify, isn't it?
Well, it's a risk to testify if you're Donald Trump because he can't control himself. He's a terrible
Right.
witness, and I think he was really punished in the E. Jean Carroll case where he was found liable for sexually assaulting her, and he when he testified there, there was did he testify there? They actually don't think. Well, anyway, I know there was a deposition. There was a deposition that were played. So he testified in a deposition
Yes, that's right.
where he was on
Yes.
oath, and he basically said, "Yeah, I did say that I can grab women by the genitals, and that's what stars can do." And he made other slip ups, like after saying that E. Jean Carroll wasn't his type, he mistook her in a photograph for his
Is what
former
former
wife.
wife. Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
obviously a terrible slip, terrible faux pas. So I think that the general feeling in the legal profession is that he would be totally mad. Well, any lawyer would be totally mad to put him on the stand, because he's just
And
sort
that's
of
what they'll advise him, but
so out
that
of.
doesn't mean he has to listen,
They may
presumably.
advise him one. We don't know what
His
advice.
lawyers, I mean.
Yeah, we don't know what advice they're going to give, but the general feeling in the legal profession is that any lawyer would say, you really shouldn't testify. Don't open yourself up. And most criminal defendants don't.
To be
Nothing should
gained,
be
really.
inferred from non-testifying, because there's a
No.
right to silence, and it's up to the prosecution, of course, to prove their case beyond any reasonable beyond all reasonable doubt.
Can I just ask a question? When you say that they're going to be deciding what he's going to be cross-examined about if he testify, is that before the statements that we don't
Yes,
hear or that
yes,
people
yes,
don't hear? So that's
yes.
enclosed.
We don't hear anything, by the way. We can only hear reports from people who are in the
No, but I
room.
meant there are people sitting in the courtroom reporting back outside to journalists and things of
Yes,
what's going on and sketching pictures. But I
yes,
mean,
but
so
you can't
they'll
have
hear.
photographs or videos, no.
No, but they won't hear. That will be a closed court, presumably between the lawyers, in terms of secret of what's going to come out if he testifies. But the opening statements are different, correct?
Well, the hearings are public, so we will hear what the judge decides, and we probably hear how it was argued and all that. All that
Oh,
can
I
be heard,
see.
but you
Okay.
can't actually have live coverage in terms of pictures or videos
No, no,
in
no. I
in the
realise
courtroom,
that.
because that's the rule of the state court there. This is a state proceeding, and by the way, important, it's one that even if he gets back into the presidency, he cannot pardon himself because it's a state trial.
Oh, I
So
didn't
unlike
know
a,
that.
a federal trial where he could pardon himself if he's found guilty, if he becomes president. So that's an important point here. So
So
there
he
will
could
be.
be a president with, if he's voted in, with a criminal record, with
Yes, he could
probably
even
more
be
than one.
president from jail, as I understand it. There's
Right,
nothing in the Constitution that prevents that. So, why
right.
is this anyway? Why is this trial? Why should it be of interest to the UK? Well, I think it's enormously consequential for the world, actually, if Trump gets back into power, because he's really sort of laid out that he intends to take revenge for number one against political people who are against him, and he is the kind of character that is a real fighter. And he's going to go after people who went after him. I think he said publicly, you come after me, I come after you, something along those lines. The other thing is that from our point of view, is that he really is not a supporter of NATO, and he does appear to be quite a supporter of Putin and other dictator type people around the world. And so, in terms of our vital security as a nation that relies so heavily on the United States, that could be undermined. The other thing is he doesn't seem to be a particularly strong supporter of Ukraine, quite the opposite. So, generally the feeling is that we have to, that we have to help the Ukrainian people fend off this unlawful invasion of their country and their attack on their democracy. And that might be severely undermined if Trump gets back in. So, uh, it's a dangerous time for the world because
Yes.
he is such a loose cannon. I mean, there are people who support him, and I understand it because he is somebody who's unlike the usual politician that doesn't answer questions and who uses a lot of boilerplate in what they do have to say, and it's all very dull and
Never do what they
we
say they're
don't
going to do, a lot
yes,
of
and
them.
we don't tend to trust people who don't answer questions and things like that. And he does. I mean, he's quite well. There's no doubt about it. He is direct. But the problem is from my point of view, he comes with a lot of baggage. But I do understand. I do like people who don't behave like standard politicians. Who answer questions and speak their minds. And he certainly does that. And the people that do love him seem to love him unconditionally. I mean, it's been said that he could shoot someone on Park Avenue and he would still have support. And I heard one supporter say the other day, because there are feelings that he wants to be an authoritarian. This supporter said, "Well, we need a dictator in this country." Yeah, you need a dictator. I think that's worrying. And also, aren't people worried about the fact that he says things like, "I can grab women by the genitals without their consent because I'm a star"? I mean, what president talks like that? It's so it's hard for me to understand, but I do to a certain extent understand his appeal to those people. But I do think that it's
Well, there are
he's
always
a,
two
he's a
sides, aren't
dangerous
there? To,
guy to give the nuclear codes to. I would be, very, very concerned. So I think it is
yes.
very, very important for our country, what's going to happen.
But
But
isn't there another case being heard? Sorry, can I just throw in? Isn't there another case being heard going back to that about being able to shoot? He wants immunity, as he's saying, as a president, he's
well, maybe
entitled
that's
to immunity
something.
from any
Yeah, maybe that's something that we can talk about on another
right.
episode of this, because that is, yes, he is claiming, and he's appealed to the Supreme Court, and they're going to hear it, that presidents should have uh, absolute immunity against prosecution. I don't think they're going to hear. I mean, I think they've been quite narrow about what they want to hear the lawyers talk about at that hearing, and we'll talk about that when we get there. That's not going to come up until July, but it is going to be heard.
Right.
But you're certainly right about that. So what's this trial really about? Is it really about a hush money payment paid to an adult film actress? Um, well, it is about that, but that part of it is not an illegal act. I mean, he paid he admits that he paid this woman $130,000 to shut her up, but he denies her story. He denies that he had sex with her. Um, he denies that he paid her off, as I understand it. Uh, but he denies the story. He says that he paid her off because he didn't want the story to get back to his wife. There's evidence that undermines that position, I think, from what I understand. But that's his position. The payment of the money is not the problem, because that is not inherently illegal, as I understand it. The bit that's illegal is, what was his motive the bit that could be illegal if proven is what was his motive for making that payment. And the prosecution say, and they say they have clear evidence to this, he paid it because he didn't want that story to get out because he knew it would damage his chances of winning the 2016 election. And this was just before that. And not only this story, but there's other stories which the prosecution are going to say were the subject of what has been called a catch and kill campaign. So that means that he got other people, the prosecution say, to find negative stories like this Stormy Daniels story and to kill it. That is, to silence the person by coming to a deal. And they say, the prosecution says that it has very strong evidence that that is the case because he denies it. But what that makes this case is not so much a porn star case. It's much more an election interference case, which is something he complains about all the time, election interference. But this is, if proven, a prime example of him indulging in election interference by not allowing this crucial information, the prosecution would say, to get to the electorate so that they could make an informed decision on whether this candidate was fit to be president. So that's the nub of what this case is about. So it's going to be really fascinating. So,
well, but going back, because the amount of money sounds kind of slightly pathetic to me, $130,000. You know, probably about £100,000. I know it's not irrelevant, but again, where did this money come from? This $130,000.
Well, the prosecution are going to say that his fixer, his lawyer at the time, Michael Cohen, who now, as far as I can tell, hates his guts, hates Trump's guts, and is a state's witness, probably a very important state's witness. He paid the money to Stormy Daniels, but Trump paid it back, and I think Trump admits that. Trump admits that he paid Cohen back, so that's not really an issue. But the big problem that prosecution would say is that you paid it and you put it down in your financial records as a business expense, a legal expense, when it was not a legal expense. It was a hush payment. It was a payment to shut up, to silence.
Right. So that's tax fraud, is it? Is that a
well? That part of it is
tax,
but part of it is falsifying the business records to make it look like something it wasn't. That's the allegation.
Right.
And that is illegal. So the hush money, the actual payment itself is not illegal. Coming to that deal is not illegal, as I understand it. But falsifying what the payment was for in business records, it's a crime. That's the nub of it. So the judge is a guy called Juan Marchand, I believe I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, Marchand.
Marchand is a tough guy. I mean, he's been involved in other previous trials, and he has, he said so. Therefore, he sort of knows about Trump's legal strategies and antics, and he's having none of it. So he's running this with an iron fist. This trial.
He appealed last night, didn't he? Which is Sunday evening.
Apparently he's made another. I think it's his 12th attempt to delay the trial, and I think that's highly unlikely because it's dressed up as a new ground, but actually it's just
it isn't a new ground of what I heard last night.
So apart from Michael Cohen, so there'll be the openings. We talked about what's going to happen. There'll be the opening statements by the two sides. They're probably going to be about an hour each. That's what's predicted. The question is, will they get to the first witness today? I think it's probably unlikely that they will, because I think they're going to break early because of Jewish observation of Passover, I think it is. so if we get to the first witness, it has been suggested that it will be David Pecker, who is going to be a very, very important witness for the prosecution. He's done a deal with the prosecution. David Pecker is the former chairman of the National Enquirer, and he he cooperated with federal prosecutors, was granted immunity in exchange for aiding their case against Michael Cohen, because Michael Cohen, Trump's former lawyer and fixer as he's described, he used to fix problems, including this one for Trump. And he the Justice Department entered into an agreement with David Pecker and the parent company American Media Inc. (AMI), requiring AMI to admit to making payments related to hush money arrangements, because here you have a media organization effectively involved in this catch and kill campaign to find these negative stories against Trump and get them silenced. So that's, as we understand it, what Pecker will testify to, and he will also.
So he was working with Trump, right?
Originally.
Yeah.
So he came to a deal with Trump, and he also not only to catch and kill, but also to publish negative stories about Trump's competitors during the election. So
right.
You can see what a crucial witness he should be. So it's going to be fascinating. Of course, witnesses are subject to cross-examination, and no doubt the defense will go very, very hard after him. I'm not sure on what basis. I do know that they will obviously give a very hard time to Michael Cohen, because Michael Cohen, of course, has admitted to lying on oath to things, his position is that he's a completely changed person, and I actually believe that he is, having read his books and listened to a lot.
He idolized Trump, didn't he?
He
at one point,
idolized Trump, but he's doing I think his podcast is called Mea Culpa, so he obviously is admitting blame. In the title says it all. But he's a reformed person, and but obviously, it can't be gainsaid that he has an axe to grind here. He, clearly does have an axe to grind.
Well, Trump turned against him and put him in prison, didn't he? They got him.
That's the allegation.
It's a long story.
That's the allegation.
He's very unhappy.
Cohen comes across to me as believable and credible. And in fact, in the fraud trial against Trump, the civil fraud trial, Judge Engoron said in his judgment that he found Michael Cohen to be believable, and opposite that, he said, because he got Trump to testify about a particular discrete matter where Trump was saying that he wasn't referring to the judge's clerk, he was referring to Michael Cohen, and Engoron said, "I don't believe you." And he found that Trump was lying on that. So that's interesting, that a judge has made that come to that conclusion. Of course, Trump says that all these judges are just Biden flunkies who are just doing Biden's bidding, which doesn't have the ring of truth to it for me, but for others it does. They think this is all a big witch hunt against Trump. But I mean, the thing about Trump is a great performer at his rallies, where he's free to say whatever the hell he likes. But that all changes when you go into a court of law and you have to abide by the
rules and regulations,
and you can only talk about certain things that can be proven. So it's the next few days. This trial is likely to go on for 6 weeks, maybe more than that, and it's going to be absolutely fascinating. I ordered big bags of popcorn, and
you don't, because you can't watch it. Stop it.
No, you can't watch it.
He's not.
But you can watch the coverage, and if you want to go online, listeners, and take a look at some of the some of the coverage. There is great coverage in the US, and obviously listen to both sides, not just one side, and then obviously
Well,
form
Midas Touch, isn't
your
it, is
judgment.
on YouTube. It's
It
called the
is. Midas
Midas
Touch, of
Touch.
course, is a very anti-Trump media organization. They would say, however, that they only talk about facts and prove things that are proven by documents and so on, and they are very good in what they do. But I mean, it comes
Yeah.
over loud and clear that they're not they're not a neutral referee, as it were. But
No,
yeah,
but
let's anyway, let's wrap this up because we've got there. Have you got any other questions?
no,
Chris?
no. I think we've sort of covered that really.
I
The
think
only
it's
other thing was is
I think hopefully we've made a decent
a good
start, and that
start.
people
I hope
understand. I hope our listeners will understand the main components of what's going on over there, and why we should think it's important to us. I think we should think it's important, but we've got lots of things that we haven't talked about. But we've got time in our future um, discussions about this as the trial unfolds. We can get into all kinds of other things, and if you've got any questions, please ask them. I mean, we will deal with them as we publish more episodes, as we record more
yes.
episodes about this trial. We will definitely address or do our best to try and address any questions that you have. So I
Well,
hope
we
you'll.
will be able to as soon as we start hearing each day from the trial. We
Yes,
will be able to relay back
yes,
only facts, because
yes.
that we only will get facts from each day
Yeah, and
in court. Correct?
we'll certainly do our best to try and be fair to both sides in what we have to say to the UK audience here. So I hope that that's been
Yeah.
helpful. And again,
Exciting
please,
days ahead.
any comments, feedback, questions, anything that you'd like us to talk about in relation to this momentous trial, please feel free. We've got our Facebook page. That's the best place to interact with us. You can do it either by direct messages so that other people don't see it, or you can do it openly. And it's the Refinement, Not Retirement Facebook page for this podcast. So do make use of that, and we look forward to engaging with you. So for now, it's goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from exciting days ahead me.
Okay, see you next time. Bye
Bye
all.
bye.